It means that I can access Judaism anywhere, any place, anytime. I'm not dependent upon your institutions any longer to do so. So the question becomes, how do you compete in a free market economy? What's one of the most successful Jewish communal institutions today? Anybody know?
Jewish camp.
Jewish camp, perhaps? Although it's limited to the target population, right? Anybody? Chabad, perhaps? Anybody over here? Yes? JD, bullseye. Now, what's so interesting about, she's not a ringer. What's so interesting about JD? It's a for-profit enterprise. It's not part of the Jewish communal landscape at all. Or I'll give you another one, the Jewish cemetery. Many Jewish cemeteries are for-profit commercial enterprises. Some of you may have seen an article in the Jewish Week, the New York Jewish Week, about a month ago about a Jewish cemetery in Queens. If I recall correctly, the executive director had a take-home salary of $950,000. Is your salary that high? No. $950,000. Now, how do you get to that place? It's simple. When, over the past bunch of years, communities began to debate, as one example, what do they do? How do they respond to the non-Jewish partner in an interfaith marriage who, God forbid, dies? Where is that person buried? Some of your institutions may have debated it. Some of your institutions may never debate it. Some of your institutions may still be debating it. In the meantime, these commercial cemeteries said, we'll build a place for them. And from the outside, a cemetery called Beth Israel looks just as Jewish as any other cemetery, irrespective of the fact that it may or may not be a commercial or a private enterprise. That's what it means to enter into the free market economy. And that doesn't even speak to the subculture of institutions and professionals that are in the community who are in fact catering to those who are interested in playlist Judaism. Those who are interested in taking upon themselves whatever Jewishly they want to do, whether it's a life cycle event or anything else in terms of the challenge. So the challenge that's in front of us, we still okay on that? So the challenge that's in front of us is, how do we begin to respond to this challenge of playlist Judaism, and in particular, how does a community respond to those who are interested in only an episodic connection with the community? Because historically, we've placed a value on membership, on long-term commitment with the community, even if we don't call it membership. And we know that those models, even if they used to work, they aren't working any longer. And the challenge that's in front of us is, how do we begin to privilege those people among us who want that? And I'll tell you one very simple thing. If we as an organized community, and the institutions that represent ourselves here, don't respond to those particular needs, somebody else will. A generation ago, if we looked at interfaith marriage, a generation ago, there were no intermarrieds in synagogues. Where were they? Exactly, in the Unitarian Church. Because that's the institution in the community that welcomed them. So the Jewish community, segments of the Jewish community, decided we want to respond differently. There are all of these segments in the population today that we have to begin to respond. Now, I said at the beginning of my remarks that this period of time is called the era of transition, and that we don't know when this era will end. The only thing that we do know is that the Jewish community will look nothing like it did when the era began. The difference is that that future and what that era will look like is in our how we respond to the greatest challenge that's in front of us today will determine the future landscape of the Jewish community. And what's the greatest challenge? The greatest challenge that we face as a community today is engagement. How do we engage those who are historically disenfranchised, disinterested in the Jewish community, or not interested in what the community has historically offered? The Jewish community has convinced itself that Kevin Costner was right. What did he say? If you build it, they will come. We have finally realized that that myth that was perpetuated was in fact a myth. If you build it, they won't come. Instead, what we have to do is get outside of our institutions, get out of our own get out of our own way, and begin to meet people where they are, which is not inside the four walls of the Jewish community.